There are several reasons that a strong curriculum is important. Not only is curriculum important to help administrators and teachers to keep information organized, but also to help decide what information is important to be taught to students. According to Armstrong, if you are a teacher, you and others with whom you work have only a limited amount of time to spend with students. You simply cannot teach it all. Second, content that students encounter that comes to them is unorganized, way too often is not comprehensible. As teachers, it is difficult to decide what information students need to learn and how to best present this information to them. Therefore, it is important to have a plan that includes what we will teach and how we will teach it. Armstrong claims the definition of curriculum can be broken down into 3 key points, including the transmission of knowledge, the process that seeks to facilitate student learning, and the products of learning used to ascertain whether students have acquired new information. Basically, we want to give the information to the students in the best way possible, understand what things worked, then use this information to assess the students. Curriculum is something that will constantly change, and this is something that educators need to prepare for. According to Armstrong, to avoid the tumultuous results of school programs built on outdated information, it is essential for curriculum work to be an ongoing activity. This is one of the many reasons that administrators, elected officials, and the community must show support for schools and teachers. Being a teacher requires several hours of work outside the classroom. Developing a curriculum that best fits the individual class is just another job for teachers to do on their own time. While some individuals may look at the calendar of our teacher and think that we have it made easy, this is not the case. Most people do not recognize all of the extra work that must go into being a teacher. The foundations of a curriculum are one of the most important aspects when creating a curriculum. One of the most important questions when developing a curriculum is who should be involved in making curriculum decisions about what information should be included. I believe the most important individuals in making these decisions are teachers. Teachers are professionals and should be trusted that they know what they are doing. They are the ones who spend most of their time executing the curriculum plan. They know how their students learn and what works best for them. This is one of the reasons that curriculum must constantly change, because our students are never the same. According to 21 questions about curriculum, traditionally, the written curriculum has not matched the taught curriculum among teachers within a school. This is an important statement to take into consideration. While it is necessary for administration and leaders to have a say in the curriculum, they are not the ones presenting the material on a day-to-day basis. This reiterates the point that teachers need to have a say in curriculum decisions and be trained to implement the curriculum in the best way possible. This may mean spending more time or money offering teachers professional development or whatever they may need in order to be the best teachers possible. Along with teachers, administrators should help to develop a cohesive curriculum within their school or district. There is no reason that there should be huge gaps between grade levels or different schools. While every child is different, we must make sure that they are all learning appropriate material for their age. This is where administrators play a huge role in the curriculum. They should meet and discuss what is being taught in their buildings. The gaps within a curriculum need to be closed. The last group of individuals that need to help make curriculum decisions are political leaders. Although most people do not agree with this statement, these individuals are necessary. They can speak with other leaders across the country and decide what national standards students must meet. Most attend college after graduation. Because of this, they must know certain information. If they do not, they will go to college without the knowledge necessary to succeed. Because I work in a private school, I also feel as if religious leaders are very important when creating a curriculum. Most religious individuals can agree that putting God at the center of our world is important, but in schools, that is normally not a priority. We make a curriculum that focuses solely on learning material and most of the time separates God from school and from the church. I feel as if it is important to include religious teaching in a curriculum. Part of my curriculum would include weekly church involvement and involvement of the priests. I believe this gives students a strong moral foundation, which is extremely important to life. The priest associated with the school should have as much say with curriculum decisions as administration does. God should be the center of everything, including schools. From this, I feel as if the mission statement of my school would be working hard to combine 21st century learning and technology skills with traditional religious teachings to create a moral and capable student for the future of our country. It is important that we educate students to the best of our ability to deal with the world that they encounter in their everyday lives. The next, and one of the most important parts of a curriculum design, is organization. Even if a curriculum has great content, if it is unorganized, students will not be able to follow along and learn effectively. Armstrong claims you will want to make decisions related to these categories that ensure that the students are being taught the appropriate kinds of information, sequence information according to patterns that will make it easy for students to acquire new knowledge, and allocate more instructional time to higher than lower priority content. The first part of the curriculum should be based on state standards. We want to make sure that students are across the country, the state, and locally are on the same page. Students need to learn the basic reading, math, and science skills before the creative elements can be included in curriculum. From this, schools can decide what curriculum design works best. I feel as if a student-centered design is the future of education and the most ideal design to strive for within a school. Armstrong explains, the special feature of student-centered designs is their attempt to be especially responsive to the interests and desires of the students. While I do not believe that we currently use the student-centered designs very often in schools, I feel as if they are the future of education. During the pandemic, we learned that there are many resources available to provide the opportunity to personalize curriculum, whether this be an online program or a game that we use in class. Part to whole sequencing is the method that I feel can be used most widely in schools. Teachers should build on something simple and then make ideas more complex as the year goes on. Once students understand simple ideas, the teacher can move on to more complex ideas. Although some classes teach individual unrelated information, I think that most classes must start with the basic concept and gradually incorporate more complex ideas. Schools should give students the tools necessary to be morally strong, productive members of society upon graduation. Along with organization, the content of a curriculum is extremely important. As teachers, it is important to know what content is important for students to learn. According to Armstrong, sometimes you will be asked to make recommendations regarding the relative importance of individual components of a curriculum that you are developing, retaining, or revising. We must know what the students need and be prepared to defend why they need these things. Each student is different, so we must individualize content to best fit as many students as possible. This is another reason that it is extraordinarily important to train our teachers. When organizing the content of a curriculum, it is important to examine the domains of learning, which include cognitive, psychomotor, and affective domains. In most subjects, cognitive domain will take precedence. According to Armstrong, the cognitive domain comprises rational or intellectual thinking. One of the main ideas of education is to teach students to think on their own. We want to give them the skills to be able to make the best decision in any given circumstance. Schools should teach different skills at different age levels. While the idea of Montessori schools is nice, I feel as if having a structured school for young children is necessary. Along with subject material, schools need to teach things such as socialization and obedience. Like it or not, we must all follow instructions from a higher up at some point in our life. If we never learn these skills, we will not be productive members of society. Elementary students also must learn skills such as basic reading, writing, and math. In today's world, language and computer skills are also necessary. When students start kindergarten or preschool, they should be learning basic technology skills. These children should also be given the opportunity to learn another language. While this may not have been necessary years ago, we live in a particularly connected world today. Like it or not, the sooner we start teaching children what they need for the future, the better. Because the main goal of schools is to prepare students to be productive members of society, schools need to constantly assess what the children will need for their future. While many years ago we may not have needed to teach them another language, it is important that they learn this now. They may have a job where they deal with individuals from another place every single day. And if they have these skills, they will be able to get a job much more easily. So a basic curriculum for an elementary student would include math, reading and writing, computer training, and beginning a foreign language. Once a student enters high school, I feel as if their curriculum should look different. At this age, I believe it is important to focus on helping to develop knowledge that they can put into practice. These students must learn how to think on their own and make an opinion based on their knowledge. Armstrong claimed, curriculum decisions are made within social context. If we teach students to think on their own, the changes in the world will only change how they apply what they know. We want to create adaptable adults. That is the main goal of education. When students are presented a problem, they can use their knowledge and skills and moral values in order to react in an appropriate way. Another important component of high school learning should focus on job preparation. Many times, students go into college with no exposure to the job they want as an adult. Therefore, they're left in college, changing majors, wasting money, and wasting time because they had no exposure and no idea what they were getting into. There is no reason for this. As a teacher, if a high school student wanted to come and observe my job, I would be more than happy to allow them to come in and see how we work on a day-to-day basis. I believe this is the case for most professionals. We want to help students decide where they want to be at in life and don't want them to wait and make the same mistakes that we have made. They should also be given the opportunity to take classes that will help them in the real world. These classes should include things like home economics, basic home and car maintenance, and finances. Often, students come out of high school unable to perform basic life skills. High school students should be preparing for the workforce and life after school. A curriculum from preschool to high school should build each year. becoming more complex as the students get older. From the basic skills needed to learn all the way up to opportunities to shadow or work in the real world. Along the way, students should be able to participate in subjects that interest them. They should have a chance to dance, sing, build, and explore. From a young age, students know what they want and should be able to explore these avenues in order to become a more productive adult. A big issue in our country today is college debt. Most individuals went into college not sure what they wanted to do, and they wasted time and money. We want to be able, at a young age, to help students decide what area they want to go to. From this, they won't waste money or time, and they have an idea, and they know what a job is like before they get to the job. This will help students in the long run. How we assess students has bearing on what type of curriculum we are able to use in the United States today. One of the major problems with allowing students to job shadow or explore their interests is the use of standardized tests. We spend way too much time preparing students for tests, and we are not able to use our creative ability as teachers or allow them to explore what they want to do in the future, because we are wasting time preparing students for tests. I do not believe that this is an accurate way to measure how well educated a student is. This leads back to the question of what is intelligence. If we narrow-mindedly look at intelligence as book smarts, then these tests work. But is that intelligence? I do not believe that book smarts equals intelligence by any means. An example that I have always used is my father. My dad could build a house, fix any car, but he never went to college. Many people have criticized him for this. Most people would say that he wasn't intelligent, but I do not agree. I would consider myself educated in many areas, but could not do anything that he did. I know individuals with many degrees who can't do simple tasks around the house. Schools should use a blend of formative and summative evaluations, but they need to be extremely specific. Tests like the ACT and SAT ask students a plethora of questions, and it doesn't really go into a specific area. Rather than giving a student one test that covers several topics and expecting every child to perform the same, we need to examine each child's abilities. Rather than setting a specific benchmark, we need to allow students to do well based on improvement. If they are beating their scores from before, then they are improving. They should also be able to be assessed on activities rather than paper tests. I just spoke with an 8th grader who was failing Spanish. He does great when he teaches the younger students or is asked to do a speaking assignment in front of the class. He even gives great presentations, but he fails every paper test. Many times, teachers only use these tests and look at their students as if they are not doing well. This may not be the case. Often, students are just bad at taking paper tests. This is something that we keep going back to and is not a fair way to assess our students. Students also should not be expected to take tests such as the ACT or SAT to get into college. These tests do not measure how well a student will do in college, because college programs are normally highly personalized. Your first year, you may take basic math and English classes, but then you veer off into your certain content areas. We should not look at a score that assesses a wide variety of subjects to decide a student's eligibility. Each child is different, and rather than blame them for test scores, we need to look at the system. Students should be offered classes that pique their interest rather than be forced into fitting into a mold. As I have said before, each child is different, and their education cannot be the same. Neither then can their assessment. The world is changing, and our curriculum needs to change with it. We need to offer students a wide variety of subjects and ways to succeed. A curriculum should flow and offer students many paths to succeed. There should be a cohesiveness between content standards and the interest of students. Armstrong states, content standard documents contain information on the kinds of information that should be treated within particular courses at individual grade levels. While I agree that we need content standards, I think those content standards need to change in order to allow the most students to succeed. While it is important that we have standards, I feel like abilities of each child should be included in these standards. If a child likes arts and dance, there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to have a pathway that allows them to succeed. Such as at high school levels, students should be able to make career choices and explore their field, maybe in the future. The school should continuously build on what students learned in the previous year. While a review is almost always necessary, we should not spend a lot of time on reteaching. We need to keep building on what is learned before. When a student is struggling, they should be offered the help needed. I believe a curriculum should take the ideas from progressivism. Armstrong states, progressivist views change as the major constant of life. When creating curriculum, it is important to be constantly willing to change. As I have said before, we are not the same as we were before. Adults change, let alone children. They're growing. If you look at a child from the age of 5 to 7, while a 30 to 32-year-old may not make a lot of a change between them, my 5-year-old and 7-year-old are entirely different. Kids change quickly and they change with society. We have this constant need for technology and to be on, and a lot of people bash that idea. But as educators, we have to be able to use that in our classroom and teach in order to keep our students' interests. I remember being a child and being bored in school and wishing that there was a connect between what I like to do in my life and the life that I had to sit in a classroom and learn. Now we have the ability to include technology and games and competition in our classroom. I feel as if a lot of old school teachers don't like to change and they don't want to do this. So in their class, they get frustrated that students don't want to pay attention and they're not interested. But when you put something that they're familiar with, such as an iPad or something on the smart board, they instantly want to participate and don't realize that they are learning. And I think that that's what we really want to offer for our students. We should spend more time adapting to what they need than planning and saying this is what will work for all students. We definitely cannot plan lessons before we meet and get to know our students. I hear a lot of teachers saying, well, I know how this student was because I talked to their teacher from last year. But this student is not the student from last year. They're different. They grew and they changed. So yes, we can have a framework for what we want the students to learn, but we need to get the kids in the classroom, meet them, learn about their home life, their interests, and then we can adapt our lesson to them. I teach gym once a week, and I have 3 upper grade classes in middle school, and 2 of them love doing hands-on jumping, like competition activities. But the one class doesn't respond to that. And while some people may say, well, it's just gym class, I still have to try to teach the kids and keep their interest. So a lot of times I find myself making a different lesson for that class, which is okay. We have to do the work if we want our students to learn. We should do our best to meet the needs for each child to the best of our ability. That is what we want out of a curriculum. We want individualized education, and we want to offer them the ability to be successful adults. This starts at kindergarten. Something as basic as ABCs or math, if they don't learn these things, then they can't move to the next stage. Ultimately, in high school, when these kids already have their foundations, we want to prepare them for life after school. Way too many kids are not prepared, and that's what schools should focus on. Thank you.